This chapter is designed to show you some of your options when wanting to create simple off-the-shelf objects. Now, by off-the-shelf, I'm referring to something that's basically pre-made. Any 2 or 3-dimensional figure that can easily be created by simply clicking and dragging with your mouse. This video in particular will deal with creating 3-dimensional standard primitives. A primitive, as you may remember from maybe a high school geometry class, is simply a basic building shape, like a box, a cylinder, or a sphere. Now, inasmuch as primitive shapes are typically very basic, that doesn't mean that primitive objects don't serve a very important purpose, as those simple shapes can be combined together to make something much more detailed. So for example, a pencil can be constructed by simply adding together a couple cylinders, a couple torus, and a cone or two. It's that easy. Single primitive shapes can also be used as a starting point to build something much more complex, by sculpting the shape of that primitive using a handful of various modeling techniques that you'll learn over the course of this fundamentals title. So don't underestimate or in any way downplay the importance of getting the most out of your primitive objects. When you learn how to harness the power of their various controls and settings, you'll quickly begin to appreciate just how valuable they indeed are. Let's start by looking at the box. We'll activate our top view, then over on the right, we'll go into the command panel. Under the Create tab, you'll find the box at the top of the left-hand row. Let's now return to our top view. With the mouse down, we'll then drag diagonally to the lower right-hand corner. Now when you draw, pay particular attention to the location of the 2 red sticks in the middle of the box. Try to center those sticks directly in line with the crosshair on the grid. That'll ensure that our object will be smack dab in the middle of our 3D space. What we're controlling at this point is 2 of the 3 dimensions on our box. When happy with the shape so far, let go of your left mouse. Then focus your attention in the front-hand view. As you push up with your mouse, you're controlling the height of the box. Let's make that height about 1 inch. We'll then left-click to finish up the command. Back in the command panel, take note that the box button is still active. To get out of the command, let's now right-click in any of our views. Okay, so we can now make a few adjustments on our box. Back in the command panel, we'll activate the Modify column. After doing so, we'll center our object with the Shift-Control-Z shortcut. Back in the right, about halfway down, you'll find a category called Parameters. These are the settings on the box that can be adjusted, so we can control the length, width, and height, and the number of segments, the number of lines that run in any of 3 directions. Entering values to make adjustments can be done in a couple different ways. You can either highlight the value field, type in the number, then press Enter, or simply utilize the spinner that you see to the right of the value field itself. Those spinners are the little up and down arrows that you see. Let's see what adjusting the length does. So I can return my box after making adjustments to its original size. I'm going to hold down my left mouse button and right-click to cancel each command. Let's now adjust both the width and the height and see what those do. So each value changes the look of the object in a particular direction. Before adjusting any of the segment spinners, let's take our perspective view to shade edge mode by typing F4. Now you're going to want to make sure that viewport's active before hitting that key. Okay, let's now experiment with changing the number of segments in each direction. Here's the length, the width, and the height. Let's now go ahead and delete our box and recenter our views with the Shift-Control-Z shortcut. Let's return to the top view and make another box pretty much the same way. Now this brings something up that you want to make sure to always keep in mind. You'll notice that this newly created box has the same number of segments as the last box we created. The reason for that is we're still working in the same file, and in doing so, Max has maintained that memory of our original box. Once the program is reset, each and every one of Max's values returns to its default setting. In our situation here, we can reduce the number of segments in each direction by simply right-clicking on the appropriate spinner. Do that for all length, width, and height segments. With right-clicking on a spinner, always returning a given setting to its lowest possible value, take note that the fewest number of segments a box can have in any one given direction is 1. Let's also delete this one and recenter our views. Now in the Creation Method category, take note that there's a couple different ways that you can make a box. One of them is called Box, and one of the settings is called Cube. Let's change that option over to Cube and we'll make one in the top view. This time we'll start in the middle of the window, hold our mouse down, and drag out. Now once you've got that on the screen, let's go ahead and center things again with Ctrl-Shift-Z. The difference between the box option and the cube option is the cube makes each of our sides the same size. Let's delete that and try one more option. This time around, directly under Creation Method, you see a category called Keyboard Entry. Go ahead and open that up. To do so, you can either click on the plus sign or directly on the name. Drop down to the length and type in 50 and press Enter. Now, because we still have things being set to create a cube, you'll notice that both the width and height also changed. Here's how this works. Directly below those values, click on the button that says Create. This automatically creates the object at a predetermined location in the scene. That location being determined by the X, Y, and Z values you see in Keyboard Entry. Okay, enough with working with a box. Let's try a sphere. Found in the left-hand column, second one down, we'll activate the Sphere command, then make one in the middle of our top view. Put your mouse in the middle of the window, hold down your left mouse button, then drag diagonally back to you. When you're happy with the size that you've created, go ahead and let go of the mouse. Let's again center our windows. Okay, back in the command panel so we can make some adjustments. We can adjust the radius, the number of segments, and a setting called Hemisphere. As you adjust the hemisphere number, take note of what's happening inside your scene. The bottom of the ball is being cut off, in essence giving you the opportunity of creating maybe the shape of a dome. Let's take the hemisphere value back to 0. Below hemisphere, you'll find a command called Slice On. Go ahead and check that checkbox. You can now adjust both the Slice From and Slice To values. This gives you the opportunity of cutting the sphere into a smaller piece, making it look, for an example, like a piece of fruit, either a slice of apple or a piece of orange. Let's go ahead and delete that and we'll see what's up with the cylinder. Again, we'll make our object with the crosshairs in the top view. Now this time, when you hold down your mouse, drag to the side diagonally. This controls the bottom radius for your cylinder. When you're happy with that size, let go of the mouse and again turn your attention to the front view. As you push your mouse up, you're controlling the height of the cylinder. I'm going to push mine upwards about 1 inch, then click to complete the command. Let's now center things up and return to the Modify column. On the cylinder, you've got controls for both the radius and the width. Try those. The horizontal lines that you see inside the cylinder can be controlled by the height segments. The cap segments, if looking in the top view, will create some additional lines that you can see there. And the number of sides can be adjusted to control just how smooth or how coarse the object is going around. Right-clicking on that spinner will take it down to the fewest number of sides, which is 3. Try that, then increase that value. You again see the Slice On option. That's going to be available with all of Max's primitives. Now, something that I want to mention here that's important to remember. Let's activate our front view, roll our wheel back to zoom back a ways, and make a second cylinder. What I want you to notice is the difference in the way things lie in the perspective view. You see, the viewport you create something in makes a difference, as it controls the original orientation of that object in the scene. So having been made in the top view, that cylinder stands straight up and down. The one we created in the front lies on its side. Hit Shift-Control-Z so you can see that in all 4 windows. Let's go ahead and select both objects using the Control-A shortcut, and we'll hit Delete. Now let's go back and center our views. This time around, we'll create a torus, and we'll cover that next.